Tesla AI Day is coming. And this summer we finally get to see what this company has been up to with their artificial intelligence division, and it's safe to say they have been up to a lot. Today we are setting up a preview to what Tesla will be showing us at their AI Day this summer. So let's get started. Elon Musk has been hinting for a while now that we need to think of Tesla not just as a car company and an energy company, but also as an AI company. And not just any AI company, but one of the biggest in the world. Elon Musk has conceded that Tesla might not be on top of the game. He says that Google is still way ahead of them, but it's probably very fair to say that Tesla is way ahead of most others, especially other car makers. We were very fortunate recently to get a lengthy presentation from Tesla's head of artificial intelligence, Andrej Karpathy, at the 2021 conference on computer vision. During his presentation, Andrej provided some great insights into Tesla's AI projects, like Pure Vision, but he stopped short of revealing any new information that we weren't already, at least somewhat aware of. For example, he did mention Tesla's AI training supercomputer, Dojo, but he chose not to get into any details about it. We are guessing that AI Day is going to be all about the things that Andrej Karpathy didn't want to get into during the conference. But who is Andrej Karpathy? Anyways, he doesn't get nearly as much publicity as Elon Musk, but he's just as important to the company. So we think he deserves a bit of backstory here. Andrej is only 34 years old, born in Slovakia, and immigrated to Canada. As a teenager, he scored 2 university degrees up here in the north before moving down to California to complete his PhD at Stanford. In 2016, Andrej joined the research group OpenAI, which was co-founded by Elon Musk. We assume Elon Musk would have found him here and brought Andrej on to head up Tesla's artificial intelligence program in 2017. It's good to know who Andrej is because when AI Day rolls around, we think we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot from him. We wouldn't be surprised if Andrej does more talking than Elon Musk. The problem that Andrej and his team are trying to solve is a pretty big one. But we like the way that he describes it. Basically, we have 99% of cars on the road today being driven by meat computers, and Tesla is aiming to replace as many of those with silicon as possible. And the way we get to self-driving cars is through computer vision. Andrej says that the only effective and scalable way to reach an autonomous vehicle future is through a vision-based system. No other technology is going to be able to get us there on a global scale. So far, the only competition to Tesla's vision system has been good old-fashioned radar. The other autonomous vehicle companies, like Waymo, use humongous LiDAR arrays onto their vehicles, and the biggest problem with radar is that it can't handle the job on its own. Waymo radar needs to be paired with high-definition mapping of the city streets that the vehicles can operate on. The obvious downside there is that mapping needs to happen first before autonomous driving can be possible. They're basically geofenced. It's almost like making a train. It can only go places where the track has already been laid down so far. Tesla has been able to avoid mapping by using a combination of radar and cameras in their self-driving features. Up until recently, it was the radar sensor's job to judge depth, velocity, and acceleration of objects on the road, while the cameras are in charge of identifying those objects. Over time, what Tesla figured out was that the vision sensors were actually able to do the majority of the heavy lifting, and we're leaving the radar sensors in the dust in terms of signal resolution. For their vision system, Tesla uses 8 digital cameras that surround the vehicle and see in a 360-degree field of view. Each camera is recording at a resolution of 1280 by 960 pixels and at a rate of 36 frames per second. Andrej says that the data collection from those cameras is so robust that the other sensors on board were just becoming crutches. They've decided to delete the radar entirely from all newly built Model 3 and Model Y vehicles because of this. Andrej gives a few reasons for making this decision to drop radar from the system. Chief reason among those was that vision had reached a point where it was so good that radar was actually starting to hold the system back. When the car hits a situation where radar and vision disagree, who does it believe? Tesla did a whole lot of testing where they compared readings for distance between radar and vision. They did some very scientific experiments to test them out. What they learned was that radar is super accurate for judging speed and distance as long as it has a solid lock on the subject that it is tracking. But as soon as there is a sudden change in the target, like a hard braking event, then radar actually tends to get disrupted and lose the target completely. Then it will suddenly require it again, so you end up with a very jagged line on the graph. At the same time, they found that the vision-based sensors were able to track the speed and distance of the target vehicle just as good as radar under normal circumstances. And then during the hard braking events, vision actually tracked the subject through the entire emergency brake and resulted in a much smoother line on the graph. Basically, what they found was that more sensors does not always equal more signal. Radar was actually contributing more noise than signal, and that on the whole, vision was actually more reliable. At that point it becomes a question of resources. Why bother spending time and money on radar when vision is already better? So they removed the radar sensors completely from the Model 3 and Model Y, and so far it's worked out just fine. Andrej Karpathy says that there has been 1.7 million miles of no radar autopilot driven at the time of his presentation and no accidents to report. On average, Tesla has one crash for every 4.2 million miles driven on autopilot, and of course, you never get a news story when things work. Andrej Karpathy says that vision is the only solution for an autonomous vehicle that is scalable, meaning it can actually be rolled out to the general public, to millions of cars around the world. Any other system that still relies on HD mapping can never succeed on a global scale. It's just too much work to keep the maps up to date. Now solving vision isn't exactly easy either. It takes a lot more brain power than just driving a mapping truck around town, but with a vision-based system, Tesla can self-drive on any road in any place, and that's something that only Tesla will be able to do. There are two things that make this all possible. One is the neural network supercomputer located at Tesla's headquarters. Andrej says that this is currently the fifth largest supercomputer in the entire world and two in the Tesla fleet. Over 1 million cars around the world are contributing the data that feeds into this massive computer system. Basically what the computer is doing with all of this data is labeling it. For every frame of video, it's finding objects and assigning them a label, then storing that information in the brain of the self-driving computer. You can think of the car a bit like a young child, like a toddler. They can see everything that's around them, but they're stupid. They don't know what they're looking at until you teach them. And obviously we need some humans to do that teaching. But once human labeling reaches a certain point of detail, then the teaching computer can take over and start auto-labeling on its own. That machine learning is essential because we're talking about millions of video clips. Tesla would have to hire tens of thousands of people to ever be able to keep going doing manual labeling for every frame of video. And Andrej said that Tesla's AI division only employs about 20 people. They run very lean, so they're a little short on manpower if they want to do this on their own. Now the network doesn't process every second of video from every drive in every Tesla. That's just too much. Andrej says that they have established 221 triggers that will tell the vehicle to record 10 seconds of video and upload it to headquarters for processing. What Andrej and his team are really looking for are edge cases. They need a large dataset and a clean dataset, but they also need to record as many fringe cases as possible. Weird driving situations that don't happen to everybody every day. One of the main triggers would be any time that the vision system and the radar disagree, or any time the self-driving computer and the human driver disagree. Obviously, they're interested in figuring out what happened there, but there are hundreds of other scenarios that they need more data on, like steep hills or dips, sharp corners, stop-and-go traffic, tunnels, cars with weird stuff on the roof, like a canoe or something. Tesla needs all of this weird stuff to fully and truly create a vision-based system that can function with zero driver interventions. It's an absolute ton of data that needs to be processed through. And to really get over the hump, Tesla needs more than just the fifth most powerful supercomputer. They need the GOAT supercomputer, and that's Dojo. The thing that Andrej doesn't want to talk about yet, but undoubtedly, we'll be talking about when AI Day rolls around. And the last point that we need to keep in mind is that Tesla is doing all of this themselves. There are no third-party systems involved in their self-driving operations. They collect and own all of their own data. They write their own code, they develop and build their own hardware, they even make their own computer chips, and they do this all with less than 24 very smart people. This is a world-class example of vertical integration and efficiency. And this is the only reasonable way that we are going to reach a future of safe self-driving cars on a global scale. With all this, we definitely have a lot to know about Tesla's progress in this field. So let's wait and watch what surprises Tesla brings for us on the AI Day. That's it for now. So what are your thoughts about this? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned at the Electric Arena for all the latest Tesla and electric vehicle news.